So I woke up this morning thinking I'd catch a replay of WWE RAW while I send off some emails and get some breakfast. Turns out I could have just watched it last night. It was in Glasgow. It was 8 p.m. here. I could have made this video last night. This is what happens when you don't pay attention to stupid shows you watch on Netflix. It doesn't matter though where WWE RAW is. It doesn't matter what time it starts. Because you will get stuck with a whole bunch of pointless arrival shots before anything actually happens of people advertised for the show who you knew were going to be there because they were advertised for the show. And once that time wasting's out of the way, you will get more time wasting via ads, and you will get Michael Cole's forced enthusiasm, and you will get some antsy fans chanting incoherently. Once that was all out of the way, we got a sequel to last week's very good heel John Cena promo. That poor kid Cena trashed last week got trashed again here. That same poor kid who is now a meme, moderately internet famous for getting utterly rinsed by his hero on live television. I'm sure school has been a lot of fun for him in the days since that. Now, when Cena's music hit, if you listen, everyone cheered for a moment, but then they remembered, wait a second, John Cena's a heel now, so they started booing. Big Match John cut a strong promo on fan hypocrisy and expectations. He ran through their what chants, the ugly fact we all have to accept, that there'll always be spectators where he's a star. And then it actually got interesting when he took it in a new direction from last week. He vowed to not only win the WWE Championship, but retire with it, taking it away from WWE forever. Sort of like what his old nemesis, CM Punk, promised, heading into their classic war at Money in the Bank 2011. Cena is very much becoming everything he used to hate. And all of this stemmed from fans not liking that awful, tacky spinner belt Cena introduced in 2005. Look, the belt was fine when he was the champ, it made sense, it suited him. Like when Steve Austin had the smoking skull belt. But when every other wrestler kept it as a spinner for years on end, it got ridiculous. Now notice that Cena's promo was not about The Rock or Cody Rhodes. This angle is really about John Cena versus the fans, versus the WWE, and eventually, ultimately, versus himself. A top babyface who went out to Hollywood and grew an ego the size of Triple Nose's triple nose. And now comes back with a chip on his shoulder, determined to stick it to his entire career and legacy in wrestling and everyone watching. Quite interesting so far. Presumably, a full explanation of his alliance with The Rock will be on hand for some time before WrestleMania, but hey, we'll see. Cody Rhodes then comes out gallivanting, people singing his song. One poor kid in the aisle was desperate to get Rhodes' attention, but was tragically blanked, on the wrong side of the ramp, as Rhodes high-fived fans without a care in the world regarding germs. Rhodes pandered hard to the fans, just like his old man used to, calling the people of Glasgow lovely, which, well, tell you what, spend a night in the Puzzle Park area and then get back to us on that one, Cody. Rhodes began undressing, it's a bit strange, after dropping his title on the mat, saying Cena should come and get the belt. Look, even if this was a brawl segment, right, even if Cena went ahead with Cody's dare, he wouldn't actually get the belt, would he? It's not a match. He wouldn't have won it. The title bout is at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, once again, coming off like a complete goof. Cena stormed out, and then homaged another old foe of his, Batista, in 2010, by just wasting everyone's time teasing returning to the ring before storming off again. Another very strong promo from John Cena, great character work, very entertaining. But this segment was largely, bar a few tweaks, just a rerun of last week's segment. And as oddly compelling as resentful, oddball heel John Cena is, there is that unfortunate feeling this is all just to get Rhodes more cheers when he potentially wins at WrestleMania, meaning this heel turn would have largely been for nothing. Heel Cena as champ, though, for a while, provided he can actually be around enough, could make for very interesting TV after WrestleMania, and be a great setup for a new babyface star to save the company and take the belt off of him, maybe in the summer or the fall. Right, so Jey Uso's mystery partner was Jimmy Uso. This actually could have been big. The Uso brothers, the most prolific tag team in the WWE of the past, say, 5 to 10 years, reunited as a duo for the first time in 18 or so months. Good. This could be a nice moment. Instead, Jimmy Uso didn't even get his own entrance. Michael Cole seemingly forgot his name, and this potentially great moment meant nothing. Jubtown Jub Under out next, here to do what they do best. Anything but winning. Jannetty Uso initially served as the heat builder for his more pushed but frankly somewhat less talented brother Jay. He created some separation when Grayson Waller went for that rolling stunner thing he does, and Jimmy Uso caught him with a Samoan drop. Somehow, Michael Cole thought that was Waller hitting Uso with a sling blade. And to think people actually act like this guy got good once Vince McMahon retired and isn't one of the most overrated, overused, boring commentators in the history of wrestling. The Usos hit some big double moves on the Jabroni boys before Austin Theory continued his life in Jubberville with another pinfall loss after the 1D. Honestly, you know this is a stupid thing to say, it's what marks say, but in this case I think it applies. Theory might as well just cut his losses and leave when his contract expires. He's got all the tools to be a future top dog. He's very talented, he's jacked, he's funny, there's a lot of potential here. And he's getting cut off at the knee because Captain Son-in-Law is still bitter about that time Vinnie Mac gutted black and gold era NXT. Frankly, I'd be very interested to see Dallas Concept turn up in the All Elite Zone. Gunther jumped Jey Uso straight after the match, leading to Uso, and this was this was pretty funny, leading to Uso tripping over whilst angling for a spear, which was absolutely hilarious, butch or not. Very funny watching this mid-card hype job lose his basic footing. Now, to be fair, I think this was a work, since everyone made a thing of it. But what awful booking, if so, making this barely credible star look like a complete clown so close to the biggest match of his career. President Donald Trump chimed in next with another AI video. Instead of bearded belly dancers in Gaza and sunbathing with Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump's new AI-generated clip was about the Gulf of America, which is, you know, what he's calling it now. And his new favourite wrestler, El Grande Americano, who definitely, totally is not Chad Gable. Oh no, no way. Gotta say, this Gable angle is so stupid that it's actually crossed the line into being stupidly hilarious. Mysterio just calling him a real jackass was the cherry on top of this ludicrous segment. The baby reindeer guy, Richard Gadd, I think his name is, was in the audience. Great show, and lesson learned. Steer clear of fat chicks. They're a real handful, all three. Bird Lady versus Tall Lady next. Bird Lady actually has a lot of in-ring talent, a lot of nice moves, is clearly an exceptional athlete. Tall Lady as well, I'll tell you what, she is quite tall, we gotta give her that one. Tall Lady got heat on Bird Lady for what felt like forever. And audiences actually got behind Bird Lady for a bit, but the control segment went on too long, and by the time Bird Lady made her comeback, the chants had died down. Regardless, there is babyface star potential with Bird Lady if she can iron out her promos to be a bit more enthusiastic and colourful. Post-match, the Judgment Day ladies gave her a beating, and Bayley ran out almost before her music hit, pretty much simultaneously with her music hitting. How very staged and phony. Anyways, Bayley was on screen, so you know what that means. Hit the fast forward. Jimmy Uso brought up Jey Uso's shameful dive botch from last week. They're making it part of the story. The Yeet brother then botched again. Oh yes, in a backstage segment, saying he was 3-0 against Gunther, rewriting history. You know, he's 0-3, just to be clear. Good grief. Anyways, Gunther versus Jimmy Uso is on for next week. Jimmy Uso showed some fire confronting Gunther and challenging him to that match for next week, before handing the big Austrian a very loud slap to the face for making fun of Jey Uso for having 2 left feet lately. Absolutely awful women's title segment next, as Bianca Belair and Iyo Sky continue to be harassed by the increasingly insufferable sore loser Rhea Ripley. I mean in kayfabe, I don't mean the actual lady's a sore loser, obviously. The Aussie goth revealed she doesn't give a damn about WrestleMania, which is clearly baloney. You know, the biggest show of the year she was obsessed with getting a title match on just last week. After some yap, Adam Pearce confirmed Ripley Sky the rematch is next week. For the title, that's the main thing you need to know from this. Bianca Belair sent both women packing to continue the build to a convoluted, contrived triple threat bout no one asked for at WrestleMania. And shockingly, in a bit of character assassination, poor Bianca Belair was written to reveal that she's retarded in a segment later on. She asked Adam Pearce who she was wrestling at WrestleMania. Right, so Pearce just confirmed a title match. Next week we'll decide who she's wrestling. She was there. She was in the ring as he said it. I mean, come on. Pearce then handed her the special referee spot. Belair revealed she didn't know how to ref. Like that was some kind of death sentence. I mean, it can't be that hard. Surely she's seen enough of them do it by now to have a broad idea of how to count to 3 when someone's getting pinned. El Grande Americano debuted next, taking the fight to Dragon Lee. At just shy of 9 minutes, these two got a lot of spots in, including a neat exploder off the ring apron and a slick finish that saw El Grande Americano yank off Lee's mask when they were in the corner in a spot reminiscent of Lee's matches with Hiromu Takahashi back in New Japan. A humiliated, unmasked Lee quickly tapped out to Americano's ankle lock rather than show his unmasked face to the crowd. To be fair, that might sound a bit silly, but this actually got a lot of crowd heat. This angle might be going places after all. It is an amusing, colourful mid-card feud for now. CM Talk, out next to do what he does best. Drone on! He revealed he was tired and jet-lagged. Which, based on those utterly gargantuan suitcases under each one of his eyes, has been the case for decades now, presumably. And I must say, putting all the wrestlers on this big international tour right before WrestleMania is an odd call. They are going to be exhausted and jet-lagged ahead of the biggest show of the year. Very odd. Back when Vince McMahon was in charge, the Europe tour was usually after WrestleMania, which in my opinion made a lot more sense. CM Punk made a callback to his infamous "I work with children" comment from the Gripe Bomb in AEW. That legendarily awful moment where poor Tony Khan just sat there and took it as Punk bent his whole promotion over a barrel. Now here's a question. Do you think Vince McMahon, or Triple H for that matter, do you think any of them would have let a talent pull a stunt like that if they'd been in Khan's shoes, sitting right next to them as they publicly trashed the company? Little rich boy can't lead, and he can't handle confrontation. Yet another reason AEW's once bright, exciting future is as dry as sand right now. Punk went on to absolutely trash Seth Rollins, of course, and then he claimed this random triple threat is not personal for him, but his opponents stood in his way heading into Mania. Costing him his dream does seem a bit personal, to be honest with you, but anyway. And I do have to ask as well, how did Roman Reigns stand in his way at the Royal Rumble? Punk eliminated the guy. And it's hardly the OTC's fault that Logan Putz eliminated Punk shortly thereafter. Basically, this was just a filler, heater promo to let fans know a big contract signing will be on SmackDown later this week. I'll give it to Punk. His filler segment for this feud was much better than Paul Heyman's the other week. Punk noted his connection to the Shield all the way back in 2012 when they debuted. About damn time they brought that up. Now can someone tell me, please, what happened to Dean Ambrose? I liked him. He was the other Shield member. He just disappeared one day. It would be great to see that guy come out of what I presume is retirement and get involved with this feud before it's too late. Overall, quite a weak promo from Punk. He's been doing some very dramatic work heading into WrestleMania, but this wasn't it. And where exactly was Seth Rollins? Reigns is a SmackDown guy, sure, but Rollins is a Raw roster member like Punk. These two have had some very heated, very engaging brawls and promos together during this feud, and this show really could have done with that line of figurative coke these two could have brought to pep it up. Oh well. Main event time. Bron Breakker, great wrestler, a man who may well be the face of WWE someday, versus that masked man with zero fear who just talks like a normal, happy to be here, model employee since he joined WWE. Not the bloodthirsty menace he used to be pretty much everywhere else he worked. Breakker completely fudged a spot in this match, seemingly remembering he was on the wrong side of the ring after a Hurricane Rana, and clumsily bumbling on over to the right side of the ring to continue the match, all while Penta desperately tried to distract us with a posing routine. Here's a newsflash, Lucha Bro. We all saw what was really going on. It's too late. We know the truth. Anyways, the good news is after that bizarre misfire, this match actually got very good. Both of these guys are colourful, they have explosive movesets, fans like them, so the action was rock solid, including a big military press gutbuster from Breakker and a Canadian destroyer from Penta. Unfortunately, the Judgment Day killed this fast-paced title bout, ruining everything when Dummer Jub Mysterio attacked Breakker to prompt a DQ. Dummer Jub jubbed Lito and Finn Jubbor, then beat up the two guys who still seem somewhat credible and don't spend more time on their backs than a downtown 304 the way poor Balor does these days. Anyways, before both guys got completely beaten down, I should mention this, they teased Penta potentially joining the Judgment Day, but given he's a rising star babyface and they're heel jubbers, you knew that wasn't going anywhere, and he didn't join them. Really disappointing finish to what had turned into a good match between two guys who could potentially rise up the card this year. The closing visual of those three Judgment Day jabronis standing tall was a bizarre, very mid-card call for a show so near WrestleMania. It looks like we'll be getting some kind of multi-man nonsense for the Intercontinental title at the show of shows this year. This road to WrestleMania is a thrown-together, half-baked mess, and all coming from the guy Marks promised was a master of long-term planning, unlike Vince McMahon with his senile, mid-show script changes. Now look, there's loads of talented people working WrestleMania. The production value will be high. It will be an action-packed 2 nights of wrestling for sure. That's not the problem. The problem is weird booking, poor planning, and anemic storytelling, which for WrestleMania is very poor. Compare the build this year to last year, and it is night and day in terms of quality and logic.